Welcome back, everybody. We're gonna be doing a little vlogging here, a little fishing on a hot, windy day. I think it's a record day, quite honestly. So the fishing could be tough, but we're gonna walk you through. Hopefully catch some mondos, but at least trying to get some bites on a really hot day, and see what we can do here in the great state of Texas in a transition period of right before some cool fronts hit. And you know, there's similar situations all across the country where fish they're out deep and it starts to cool off and gets a little funky, but right now it's gonna be tough. So I think we're gonna have to go really slow. Let's see what we have to do to catch a bass on the hottest day of the year. Before we get to dangling here, make sure to go down to the link in the description, sign up to get your box for as low as $5 if it's your first time, sent to your house. It's like Christmas or Fishmas in a box every month. And we've got one of our boxes here. We're gonna be breaking that out. So just quickly here, just to show y'all what we got going here, we've got a Bagley Balsa Wake. Bagley makes really good hard baits, and that's a sort of a wake bait, shallow fishing bait, and that lure's actually $10.99, so huge value. We've got some Biospawn Exo Ribbon 7 inches. I think I'm going to be throwing that, actually. I'll tell you why in just a second. We've got a swim bait. This is a Big Bites Cane Thumper, so that's like a little grass swim bait. We've got a Z-Man TRD craw, so you can put that on like a Ned rig or something like that. We've got a Yig 3/8 ounce, black and blue, hard to beat. And see, we got some Mustad 5/0 extra wide gap hooks for rigging your big plastics. And then we've got a Lunker Hunt Yappa Frog. So a lot of value packed in there. So make sure to go check it out. Link down in the description, get signed up. And I'm gonna show you guys what we're dealing with today. I've already talked about it's extremely hot. So it's usually good to go with the plastics during this time of year and go slow, especially if you don't have a lot of wind. We have some wind today, but a lot of these fish are setting up in not quite deep water, but in that mid depth, about 10 to 15 foot. So what I'm gonna be doing is using a shaky head. This is a 1/4 ounce head with a screw lock on it, and I'm just going to take this worm, take a little bit off the section here on the 7-inch where I can rig this up. I'm just going to lay nice and flat there, and I like to rig my worms with the tail down. Rig that up just like that. So we'll probably use a variety of plastics to kind of see exactly what they want. I'm going to start out with this and just drag on these rocks. We're going to look for a little bit of rock piles as well, usually electronics, but also start out on some points, secondary points, things where current's kind of flowing in and setting fish up. So one of the things you got to remember when it's super hot, fish, they're either going to find current, they're going to find depth, or they're going to use current, because oxygen is a valuable thing they need in their bodies. Right now we're on a secondary point. The difference between a secondary point and a main lake point is you're looking at the main body of water. Those points out there, that's what you call the main lake, and then anything inside of that is a secondary. So these are just small little points that come out. They're not huge, big, obvious ones. They're just small little you know, rock formations that make these little areas where bass can get behind and kind of block the current, and they're able to feed. It's just like an area where they trap bait fish and they hunt for crawfish and things like that. So it's real windy today, and we're right on that edge, so there's gonna be some natural current coming through here. So we're just dragging our baits through this area. Jeremy's hooked up.
It was a fish and he just tapped it.
What do you got
time.
there? Oh yeah, a little bass piece.
It is. The Texas Rattler.
I think you can possibly sling him with that gear. That's
Oh,
like
I don't have
Texas
that.
shaky head rig.
Oh, God. Just boat flip him with the spinner rod.
It's up to you. Nice.
About that. And you named this the Texas Rattler, right?
Texas Rattler.
Giant.
That's a nice fish right here, dude.
It is.
So with us today, we've got Mr. Jeremy Starks from Bass Mafia, also AKA wildlife biologist, knows a lot about fishes and animals. And that's our first fish of the day, right
It
there.
is. And he's hot.
Yeah. This water is
93
90
degree
degrees. So first bite came on that on the Google Baits Rattling Ned, and you like to
did.
do a little something.
I did. I'll show
That's
you.
a modification.
All I really done was just Texas rig it the same you would a shaky head. What did you start calling this? Texas Rattler?
First fish. It came on a secondary point, and we had gotten like 3 bites right there. We're just being real finicky. I'm gonna stick with this worm a little bit longer. A 7-inch worm, great size to throw like all year round, but especially right now when they're a little finicky, it's good. Just a good old ribbon tail worm. And I really think having a good, like a shaky head on there, something that's gonna tick the bottom. You know, when me and Jeremy were fishing up there in Erie, you taught me about like the importance of sound, and we were using the heavy metal tungsten jig heads, and it was making a difference. So that the sound of that hitting the rocks and making noise. So I think that's a little bit better than just throwing your standard Texas rig, just because they're hearing that. It kind of sounds like a crawfish or something clicking around in the lock, and the rocks are looking for it.
And the way you're fishing it, you're kind of dragging it into a rock and then just ticking the rock.
Yeah, you taught me that as well. Like, don't really waste your time just dragging through everything.
Right.
Wait until you find something that's good, you know, a good hard boulder or a good piece of rock, and you're not just shaking it through sand.
Right, you can speed it up when you hit a rock and just kind of tap it into that rock. But that fish, you saw how they're really slow to bite, because he had bit it, and I said, I thought that was a fish. I wanted it to be one.
Did.
And I just
Fired
kept
back.
And he come back and got it.
That's a decent sized fish. There might be a mondo here somewhere. Come on, sweet pea. I'm actually gonna go old school here and go with a Carl's bait. Just a small profile. This is the Gator Hog 3.75 inch. Real small bait. Little compact
I like
bait.
the call.
We're gonna dip a little chartreuse on it, and that little baby is gonna be ready to dangle. It's a good summertime tip too. A lot of bluegill running around in the summertime. They're active. That little chartreuse right there on the tail. I swear, if you look at a bluegill in the water, you look real closely, you will see like a chartreuseness. You see a little teal and a little chartreuse right there on the tips of their fins, and it kind of imitates it. Oh my gosh. Oh, does he have? Broke me off.
Don't you love when that happens? I mean, like you're fishing so hard, you're dialed in, and he just breaks it off.
Dude, I mean, absolute smashed it in that deeper section where I was like, that's
had it and
good.
swam with it.
And then was swimming out to deeper water like, yes sir, you're big. And I got excited and I hammered down on him. And I broke my rule of always fish shaky heads in Texas on 15-pound line.
You broke your rule.
I broke my rule, and that's what happens. I've broken so many fish off on fishing less than 15 in Texas, because those big ones, like 5-6 pounders, when they grab it, they just go boop. They've got it deep, and then you set it on their teeth, and it's over.
Well, just like right there, that's why I'm retying. It was frayed like crazy.
Yeah.
We're fishing all this big rock.
Yeah, I didn't
So,
retie either.
yeah, and
I
that-
was afraid, but I was my fault. Broke my rule. Plus, I just went and tried to put the hammer down.
You did. You brought it from the shoelace.
And the fish was close to me because it was under my feet. Gosh, dang it, that was a good one. On the creature bait though, a little compact. Let's work on 7. Rolling pulling over to a real similar bank. One that's got deep water close by, fully shaded now. And we're basically bank fishing, but we're not fishing that first couple of feet. You know, we're dragging our baits off in that 8 to 15. That's where we got most of our bites. Broke one good one off, caught a decent one. It's just time. It's time to capitalize now. We know where they are. Just got to get them. Get them to keep on the line.
First cast. Maybe it is that profile.
It's good. Knowledge still. I don't know.
I mean, he smoked it and ate it.
And actually went with it. He said, hey, I'm taking it.
Yeah, he just took it. So
we're figuring it out. So, creature baits, the two creature style baits that we've had on, they've actually eaten it and taken off with it. So.
And the Ned rig, which
yeah,
is that
and the
same
Ned, which
smaller
is
profile.
tiny, tiny, tiny. Which is not what I want to hear. I want to hear that they're just smoking big worms and jigs, and you know, you just wail on them. But that's not the case. It's sometimes what you got to do in this late summertime. Reduce your profile, slow down, and just be patient with them. See it on the weekend. I got a bite here. It's a real small fish. Oh yeah, that's about what I just felt in my life. That's that fish.
That's that 10-inch spot.
That's that 10-inch spotted bass.
And it's getting dark, and they can't see the bait, so they actually eat it.
Oh Lord, please tell us that's not what we've been getting bit on this whole time.
Look at that monster. That's what's been doing this all day. Spotted bass landmines. Oh, he's so got it. Oh, dude, that was not a little one.
Are you sure?
100%. Because he just kept swimming. He got my bait, but that was not a small one. Like, I felt him. I promise you that was not a small one. There's one.
Oh, here we go. Oh, one just fed up there too.
That same fish.
That same fish?
Same exact spot.
Largy. Dude, I've never seen a man get so many bites and just know that you're gonna catch that fish. Like, cast back in there.
4 times there at it.
You're like, I know that's a good one because he popped the plastic off right there. He's like, it's not one of those 7-inch spotted bass. Throws in the exact same spot and catches it. You've done that a couple times and been so sure.
But it took 4 times to catch that one.
Dude, that's how grindy it is right now. So I would just never do that. That's pro
Spend
level.
a couple years with those guys and they'll teach you to grind.
Yeah, so everybody watching, he's retired from the Elite Series games, but he's actually had 2 tour championship wins, or 2 tour wins, which is incredibly hard to do. And I guess when you fish at that level, you just tend to dial it in a few more notches, which I am not dialed to. I think we're closing her out. Sun's going down. It's still extremely hot out here. Hottest day I've fished all year. But I learned to probably not fish on the hottest days, but if you have to. Downsizing, when the fish, the fish are there, you have to get bites. I started off throwing a little bit bigger bait, bigger worms, and I thought a 7-inch would be small enough, but we really had to go down to a compact bait, like a compact creature bait. So even those bug style baits were working. But I kind of feel like I could catch one more. I know the film light is done, so we're gonna shut it down right here, but I gotta give it a little bit more dangle. And actually night fishing in the summertime is really good. But thank y'all for tuning in. Jeremy, I'd like to thank our special guest, Mr. Starks, for his expertise and catching all the fish today. I basically just cried on the floor like a little girl. But I've learned things every time I fish with him, and that's important stuff. So thank you, Mr. Stars.
Had a blast.
Alrighty, y'all, don't forget to sign up for all the greatness that comes to your door every month in the mystery tackle boxes. Visit the link down below, and we'll see you right back here on the channel for more great tips and fishing videos on the MTB channel. See ya on the next day. 7-inch worm. Let's get a little night sniff before we go. Oh yeah.